Rev up your engines!
Well, now General Motors is going to void warranties on brand new hot cars and hot trucks that people buy, and if they sell them too fast. They're coming up with an idea that Corvettes, new electric trucks they're going to be making, that they're going to say the first year, if you sell it to somebody else, the warranty is void. This is what GM is planning. Truthfully, I don't think it's legal, because if you have a warranty, the warranty is supposed to be for so many years and so many miles, regardless of who owns the car. I don't know what kind of legalese General Motors is getting into this. They're doing it because the dealers are ripping people off. It's bad enough that they're marking up stuff like the Hummers. They're supposed to be $112,000. They sell them for a lot more. Well, then the people who buy them are turning around and acting just like the dealers. One guy sold his at auction for $250,000. You can't do that now, or the warranty is going to be invalid. I don't know if that's legal, to tell you the truth. I mean, you'd have to go through the courts and see what goes on there, but I mean, they're going to last-ditch efforts. They're charging as much as they can for the vehicles, and then they're saying you can't go and sell it for more. As far as I'm concerned, that's their problem. If they can't make enough of them to sell enough of them so that the market out there wants more, and people can mark it up because of that, and they can't supply it themselves, doing some half-assed thing like this and saying, oh, your warranty is going to be invalid, I don't think that's legal. Well, we'll find out as time goes on, but it just goes to show the lengths that people are going to now to try to make as much profit they can, but not make them look too greedy. And to me, a lot of this harks to, they want to sell them on their own. They want to get rid of a lot of the dealerships so that they could do the markups themselves and cut the dealer out of the whole thing. It's, after all, the dealers are privately owned. General Motors doesn't own them. They're privately owned. They buy the cars from GM and then mark them up. So I'm sure GM would just as soon make the markup for themselves. Maybe this is the beginning of that, if they're coming up with these ideas. Brian Hobbs says, Scotty, do I ever need to clean or replace my car's oil pan? If so, how often? Well, if it doesn't leak, you never need to replace it. But if you hit things and knock a hole in it, you're going to have to replace it. A lot of modern cars, when they get older, 10 years or older, you'll see they start leaking a little oil on the oil pan. Then you got to take it off and reseal it and put it back on. And that, to me, stinks. And that's because they make them cheaper. When I was a kid, they were made with gaskets. The gasket went on the pan, bolted on the bottom of the engine. They could basically last forever. The new ones, let's make them cheaper. They put gasket glue, and then they bolt it up and it's glued on. It works great for a while. But eventually the glue dries up, shrivels, and you start to get oil leaks. If the swine would have put gaskets on in the first place, they wouldn't be leaking. That's why a lot of modern cars will leak, because they didn't put gaskets. They just use stupid glue, and eventually the glue dries up. And if it's really dripping out, then you got to take it off, clean it all off. And here's my advice. If you ever do have that happen, don't have it glue it back on. Most aftermarket companies make gaskets that'll go on the oil pan of any car. Buy an actual gasket and put it on. Big Apple voiceover says, what are your thoughts about extended warranties? Extended warranty is an insurance policy. So you're paying an insurance policy, and who decides if they're going to fix your car free? Not you, the insurance company. And a lot of times, they won't cover. They'll come up with an excuse why not to fix it. But on the other hand, if you're crazy enough to buy a poorly made vehicle, like let's say a Fiat or a Jaguar, I would say definitely buy one, because they break down so much. Read the fine print to make sure they cover stuff. I have had customers buy them with those kinds of cars, and they got tons more than what they paid for the warranty. But if you buy a Toyota or a Honda, that's your warranty. You bought a Toyota or a Honda, they're well made. They can last for years and years, hundreds of thousands of miles. JJ says, Scotty, do you agree with California with more construction of hydrogen fuel stations? Well, it's interesting technology. And that Toyota Mirai, which was the first real hydrogen fuel cell car that people could get, they sell in California. Some people say it was the best car they ever had, but they also got rid of them because there's no place to get hydrogen fuel, right? And for the masses, it would be a big change that's going to happen in technology. But you never know. Plus, you never know the hydrogen itself. I was just reading the Scott way to store hydrogen in a pellet form by tumbling in a thing and it gets absorbed. And if they can transfer hydrogen that way, it won't have to be cryogenic, very cold, that costs a fortune, or under super high pressure to move it around in tanks, which is dangerous. It could be in powder form. So who knows what the technology is going to come out. It's too early to place your bets bets on what type of electric car is going to actually work. Corporations, they aren't. They're all betting their butts on battery-powered electric cars, which, who knows? It may fail. It may be an absolute disaster, especially for the people who buy them, because if you buy one and then we don't make those batteries anymore, or, oh, well, that technology's crap, now we're going to another one, or you bought the car and then the battery crapped out of warranty and you got to spend 14 grand to buy a battery for your car. Wait on electric cars if you're smart. Robert Merrick says, my 03 Buick LeSabre Limited runs really good, but it doesn't jump stutter at 30 miles an hour. All right, here's what you want to do. I'm assuming you got it in drive, and at 30 it does a jump stutter, right? Put it in first gear alone, and then second gear alone. If you go over 30 and the stutter's gone, but then when you put it in drive and it shifts by itself and the stutter comes at 30 miles an hour, that means your transmission's starting to go up. If it doesn't do it when you put it manually, then it's not that particular gear that's doing it, which would happen if you put it in drive. Then it could be all kinds of things. It could be a broken motor mount, a problem in the ignition system, that when you get to a certain RPM, the ignition system, or the fuel system starts working a little crazy and it starts to stutter. But try it with the different gears first. And if you find it only does it when it's in drive and not any of the other gears, then you know it's inside the transmission. And it's a GM product. It's pretty typical. I expect that kind of stuff. Dr. Pepper, 99 UK, says, Scotty, what's your favorite British car? One that someone else owns. I'm nuts about British motorcycles. I got a Triumph Thruxton. I grew up on BSAs, Nortons, and Triumphs. I love English motorcycles. That said, my Triumph Thruxton was made in Thailand. And it never breaks down. So, now, if you really want to live in fantasy land, the E-type Jags, the beautiful, elongated ones, not the ones with the V12 engines, the ones with the straight sixes. The V12s were disaster areas. But the six-stones are a pretty good engine. I noticed somebody's actually making some kind of replica of those. They're either $350,000 or $1 million a piece. Who's going to spend that kind of money? You know, well, I guess there's enough billionaires out there and multimillionaires that'll buy a car like that. They are beautiful. They're beautiful cars, right? And they make a great sound. You know, I saw one was in California. Guy had one of those replicas from the movies, six-cylinder Jaguar with conical shell behind the guy. I mean, it's a beautiful looking car. You know, the guy had it as a toy. It didn't have that many miles on it. But they were beautiful cars, and they were fun to drive. And back then, they were quite a bit more reliable than they became later. Today, I wouldn't buy anything British. Shade Tree, can running the wrong spark plug cause a cracked head? 98 Ranger between the intake and exhaust hose. If it's too long, then the piston can hit it and force things to crack. Or if it's the wrong heat range and it runs too hot, it could get hot enough that eventually it could crack the head. It's not that common of a thing. But I did have a customer once, went to a discount auto parts store, bought a set of spark plugs, put it in, started up, and clang, bang. And it turns out they were too long, and the pistons hit it and broke the engine. So always make sure, if you're going to change spark plugs in your car, keep an old one, right? And when you get the new one, put them up to each other, threads, and see, are they both the same length at the end, right? And if one's longer, don't buy it. Go back, take it back, and get the right size one. Darren says, I finally got an internship at BMW Motors. I've learned a lot from you, Scotty. Thank you. You definitely learned one thing. You learned that BMWs are endless money pits. So you are now a mechanic fixing BMWs. You will never run out of jobs as long as people will buy the stupid things. They always break over time. And they're so high technology that a lot of guys won't even work on them. I mean, when I was in Houston, I met lots of mechanics. I said, hey, you're going to work on this M-Series BMW? And the guy said, no. He says, I won't touch the M-Series BMWs because the technology they put in there and the way they build them, it requires me to buy too many specialized tools. And I'm not going to mess around with spending all those thousands of dollars to buy tools to work on a car like that. You made a smart move as long as the company stays in business, because they'll always be breaking. BMWs will always be breaking. And they're getting into electric cars now, and if cars ever do become electrified and BMW sells enough of them, then they might sell enough of them because it's a luxury car and rich people always spend money. A lot of companies go out of business, but companies that build things for rich people, a lot of them are still going because people that have money, they like the snobbery of a name, and they will spend money for that stuff. You know, from your perspective, you're not driving it, paying to fix it. You're getting paid to fix it, so what the heck? Oleg says, what do you think of capless fuel systems? I think it's a stupid thing anybody ever invented for production cars. It's just a stupid idea. For those of you who don't know what they are, a while back they decided, okay, we're not going to make cars that have a gas cap. People lose them, right? We're going to make a capless one. There's a thing. When you push it with the pump, it goes in, it goes out, and it seals itself, right? Those were first invented for race cars because, of course, hey, it takes some time to take the cap off, put it on, stick it in, pump it, take it off, it seals itself. It's faster for them. Race cars spend a lot of money buying parts. They're always changing them. They don't care. The problem with those stupid capless systems for normal people are they wear out. And one of the main reasons they wear out is because they get a little leak, and then you get evap leak system, check engine light, can't get your car inspected, you got to fix it. And in the case of a lot of them, you got to buy a giant assembly that costs like $200, $300 to $400. Then you got to take the gas tank off. You got to take all this crap out to put it on. Instead of having a simple gas cap that if you lose it, you go to a discount auto parts store and buy another one and snap it in. You know, stupid idea, but you know, some idiot decided, oh look, this is futuristic. Yeah, okay. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.